Tell me, Muse, of the man of many ways, who was driven far journeys after he'd sacked Troy's sacred citadel. Many were they whose cities he saw, whose minds he learned of, many the pains he suffered in his spirit on the wide sea, struggling for his own life and the homecoming of his companions. Even so he could not save his companions, hard though he strove to, for they were destroyed by their own recklessness. Fools, who devoured the oxen of Helios, the sun god, and he took away the day of their homecoming. From some point here, goddess, daughter of Zeus, speak and begin our story. Then all the others, as many as fled sheer destruction, were at home now, having escaped the sea and the fighting. This one alone, longing for his wife and his homecoming, was detained by the queenly nymph Calypso, bright among goddesses in her hollowed caverns, desiring that he should be her husband. But when in the circling of the years that very year came in which the gods had spun for him his time of homecoming to Ithaca, not even then was he free of his trials, nor among his own people, but all the gods pitied him. Except Poseidon. He remained relentlessly angry with godlike Odysseus until his return to his own country. But Poseidon has now gone to visit the far Ethiopians, most distant of men, who live divided, some at the setting of Hyperion, some at his rising, to receive a hecatomb of bulls and rams. There he sat at the feast of his and took his pleasure. Meanwhile, the other Olympian gods were gathered together in the halls of Zeus. First among them to speak was the father of gods and mortals, for he was thinking in his heart of stately Aegisthus, whom Orestes, Agamemnon's far-famed son, had murdered. Remembering him, he spoke now before the immortals. Oh, for shame! How the mortals put blame upon us gods! For they say evils come from us, but it is they, rather, by their own recklessness, win sorrow beyond what is given, as now lately, beyond what was given. Aegisthus married the wife of Atreus' son and murdered him on his homecoming. Though he knew it was sheer destruction, for we ourselves had told him not to kill the man, nor court his lady for marriage. For vengeance would come on him from Orestes, son of Atrides, whenever he came of age and longed for his own country. So Hermes told him. But for all his kind intention, he could not persuade the mind of Aegisthus, and now he has paid for everything. In turn, the goddess, grey-eyed Athene, answered him, Son of Cronos, our father, O lordliest of the mighty, Aegisthus indeed has been struck down in a death well merited. Let any other man who does thus perish as he did. But the heart in me is torn for the sake of wise Odysseus. Unhappy man, who still far from his friends is suffering griefs on the sea-washed island, the navel of all the waters, a wooded island, and there a goddess has made her dwelling place. She's daughter of malignant Atlas, who has discovered all the depths of the sea and himself sustains the towering columns which bracket earth and sky and hold them together. This is his daughter. She detains the grieving, unhappy man, and ever with soft and flattering words she works to charm him to forget Ithaca And yet Odysseus, straining to get sight of the very smoke uprising from his country, longs to die. But you, Olympian, the heart in you is heedless of him. Did not Odysseus do you grace by the ships of the Argives, making sacrifice in wide Troy? Why, Zeus, are you now so harsh with him? Then in turn Zeus, who gathers the clouds, made answer, my child, what sort of word escaped your teeth's barrier? How could I forget Odysseus, the godlike, he who is beyond all other men in mind, and who beyond others has given sacrifice to the gods who hold wide heaven? It is the earth encircler Poseidon, who ever relentless nurses a grudge because of the Cyclops, whose eye he blinded. For Polyphemus, like a god whose power is greatest over all the Cyclopes. Thoosa, a nymph, was his mother, and she was daughter of Phorcys, lord of the barren sea's salt water. She in the hollows of the caves had lain with Poseidon. For his sake, Poseidon, shaker of the earth, although he does not kill Odysseus, yet drives him back from the land of his fathers. But come, let all of us who are here work out his homecoming and see to it that he returns. Poseidon shall put away his anger, for all alone and against the will of the other immortal gods united he can accomplish nothing. Then in turn the goddess grey-eyed Athene answered him, Son of Cronos, our father, O lordliest of the mighty, if in truth this is pleasing to the blessed immortals, that Odysseus of the many designs shall return home, then let us dispatch Hermes the guide, the slayer of Argos, to the island of Ogygia, so that with all speed he may announce to the lovely-haired nymph our absolute purpose, the homecoming of enduring Odysseus, that he shall come back. But I shall make my way to Ithaca, so that I may stir up his son a little and put some confidence in him, to summon into assembly the flowing-haired Achaeans and to make a statement to all the suitors, who now forever slaughter his crowding sheep and lumbering horn-curved cattle, and I will convey him into Sparta and to sandy Pylos to ask after his dear father's homecoming if he can hear something. And so that among people he may win a good reputation. Speaking so, she bound upon her feet the fair sandals golden and immortal that carried her over the water as over the dry boundless earth abreast of the wind's blast. Then she caught up a powerful spear, edged with sharp bronze, heavy, huge stick, wherewith she beats down the battalions of fighting men against whom she of the mighty father is angered, and descended in a flash of speed from the peaks of Olympus, and lighted in the land of Ithaca at the doors of Odysseus, at the threshold of the court. And in her hand was the bronze spear. She was disguised as a friend, leader of the Taphians, Mentes. There she found the haughty suitors. They at the moment in front of the doors were amusing their spirits with draughts games, sitting about on skins of cattle whom they had slaughtered themselves, and about them of their heralds and hard-working henchmen. Some at the mixing bowls were combining wine and water, while others again with porous sponges were wiping the tables and setting them out, and others cutting meat in quantities. Now far the first to see Athene was godlike Telemachus, as he sat among the suitors, his heart deep grieving within him, imagining in his mind his great father, how he might come back. and all throughout the house might cause the suitors to scatter and hold his rightful place and to be lord of his own possessions. With such thoughts sitting among the suitors, he saw Athene and went straight to the forecourt, the heart within him scandalized that a guest should still be standing at the doors. He stood beside her and took her by the right hand and relieved her of the bronze spear and spoke to her and addressed her in winged words, "Welcome, stranger. You shall be entertained as a guest among us. Afterward, when you have tasted the dinner, you shall tell us what your need is." So speaking, he led the way, and Pallas Athene followed him. Now when the two of them were inside the lofty building, he took the spear he carried and set it against a tall column in a rack of spears, of polished wood, where indeed there were other spears of patient-hearted Odysseus standing in numbers. And he led her and seated her in a chair with a cloth to sit on, the chair splendid and elaborate. For her feet there was a footstool. For himself he drew a painted bench next her, apart from the others, the suitors, for fear the guest, made uneasy by the uproar, might lose his appetite there among overbearing people, and so he might also ask him about his absent father. A maidservant brought water for them and poured it from a splendid and golden pitcher, holding it above a silver basin for them to wash, and she pulled a polished table before them. A grave housekeeper brought in the bread and served it to them, adding many things to it, generous with her provisions, while a carver lifted platters of all kinds of meat and set them in front of them, and placed beside them the golden goblets, and a herald going back and forth poured the wine for them. Then the haughty suitors came in, and all of them straightway took their places in order on chairs and along the benches, and the heralds poured water over their hands for them to wash with, and the serving maids brought them bread heaped up in the baskets, and the young men filled the mixing bowls with wine for their drinking. They put their hands to the good things that lay ready before them. But when they had put away their desire for eating and drinking, the suitors found their attention turned to other matters, the song and the dance, for these things come at the end of the feasting. A herald put the beautifully wrought lyre in the hands of Phemius, who sang for the suitors, because they made him. He played his lyre and struck up a fine song. Meanwhile, Telemachus talked to Athene of the grey eyes, leaning his head close to hers so that none of the others might hear him. "Dear stranger, would you be scandalized at what I say to you? This is all they think of, the lyre and the singing. Easy for them, since without penalty they eat up the substance of a man whose white bones lie out in the rain and fester somewhere on the mainland, or roll in the wash of the breakers. If they were ever to see him coming back to Ithaca, all the prayer of them all would be to be lighter on their feet instead of to be richer men for gold and clothing. As it is, he has died by an evil fate, and there is no comfort left for us, not even though some among mortals tells us he will come back. His day of homecoming has perished. But now tell me this. Give me an accurate answer. What kind of ships did you come here on? And how did the sailors bring you to Ithaca? What men do they claim that they are? For I do not think that you could have traveled on foot to this country. And tell me this too, tell me truly, so that I might know it. Are you here for the first time, or are you a friend of my father's from abroad, since many other men too used to come and visit our house in the days when he used to go about among people? Then in turn the goddess grey-eyed Athena answered him, "See, I will answer accurately that which you ask of me. I announce myself as Mentes, son of Anchialos, the wise, and my lordship is over the all-loving Taphians. Now I have come in, as you see, with my ships and companions, sailing over the wine-blue water to men of alien language, to Tamisi after bronze, and my cargo is gleaming iron, and my ship stands nearby at the country, away from the city, at the harbour, Rhaethron, underneath wooded Naion. And your father I claim to be guest friends by heredity from far back, as you would know if you went to the aged hero Laertes, who they say no longer comes to the city now, but away by himself on his own land leads a hard life with an old woman to look after him, who serves him his victuals and drink at the times when the weariness has befallen his body from now making his toilsome way on the high ground to his vineyard.